So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn this drawing into this sticker, and I can do it really quickly using Gimp, Inkspace, and Circuit Design Space. What we're going to need to do first is we're going to need to take a photo of the drawing. To make my drawing, a regular piece of printing paper and a Sharpie would be ideal. We want a real white background and a nice dark line, and the two of these will give us that result. So when I take the image, I'm going for something that's high contrast. That means I'm looking for basically values of white and black. What I see right now is pretty good, but it's a little gray kind of in the white area, but it'll work. I'll take an image of it like this, and we'll take it into Gimp, and we can boost those colors up, those values up. Things to avoid would be shadows or just sort of cool spots in the image. So something like this, where I'm starting to see a darker area coming into the image. This wouldn't be good. I'd want to have just sort of the best I can do to get even lighting across it. We can again fix this up in an image editing software like Gimp or Photoshop, but it's really always best to get the best image you can at the very beginning, and it's always going to work out the best that way. So I'll take a picture of it like this, and we'll work on it in Gimp. So what we need to do first is we need to edit the image. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work with Gimp, and I'm going to bring the image in. So I'm going to go File, Open, and let's find this here. I'm going to keep the original dimensions. So this is a picture of some letters on a piece of paper done with a Sharpie pen. The idea would be to keep this as clean as possible. I don't want to have any kind of extra lines or anything that I don't want to be in my sticker. Shouldn't be on the page. I just try to keep this as close to black and white as possible. Things that I'm looking at right now, it gets a little gray in the corner here. There's like a shadow going across the bottom corner in this area over here. So let's what I want to do is just crop this down to what we need. There's a whole bunch of stuff we don't need on the page right now. So coming over to the tools top left, I'm going to get the selection tool, and I'm just going to try to select letters. And you can see that I took a picture of a little bit of the edge of the paper and the background. I want to get rid of the background, so just see the paper. And you can see a little bit of that background in the corner. I'm trying not to hit it. It looks like I've got it. That looks pretty good. Now what I'll do is I'll go Image, Crop, Selection. This will leave us with just the image that we want. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to play with the brightness contrast. So let's go to Colors, and let's go down to Brightness Contrast. And I'm going to just bring the contrast up, and we want to get this as close to black and white as possible. I don't want there to be any grays. We want to have just pretty much black and white. I'm bringing this up to about 100, and you can see it does like a really good job knocking out any of the grays. This looks great. It's quite usable. It's easy because the lines that I have are pretty clean, and there's no like little extra stuff in here that we have to clean up. So it really comes down to the drawing at this point. If you have a nice clean drawing, it's going to be much easier to work with. So with this being done, I'm going to go OK, and let's save it out. So I'll go File, and we'll go Export As, and bring it out as a JPEG. Let's rename it. Call this Edit 2. Use the default settings, looks good. And now we're going to go to Inkspace. So from Gimp, we go to Inkspace. This is Inkspace. So this is a free tool which allows us to create vector graphics. Gimp does a lot of amazing stuff, but it has a little bit of difficulty exporting an SVG, and that's what we need. So if we go back and forth between Inkspace and Gimp, you have some fairly powerful tools. I used Inkspace for a little bit now, and I like it. I like it quite a bit. So I'm coming over here. I'm on Inkspace's landing page. You need to download Inkspace, so I would come to this Windows prompt right here, and then choose your platform. And if you're working with Mac or Linux, you have other options here. But download it. Next, let's actually open it up. So once you've downloaded it, open it, and it should look something like this. This will be our workspace. So let's start. So I'm just going to go to File, and let's import the file that we just created. So I'm going to the desktop, and I'm looking at Edit to Open. This looks good. I want smooth edges on mine just because it is going to be a sticker. So if you want it blocking, you want to preserve sort of the pixelation, that would be a choice that you would make at that point. I'm holding Shift on the keyboard, and it should minus out. It's not changing the plus on the magnifying glass, but holding Shift, it does that time. Okay, so here it is. Here's our image that we're going to work with. So I've got the image and the vector separated right now. They're right on top of each other. So I'm going to grab it, and we can separate them, and we can see this is the image and this is the vector file. So now what I need to do is I'm going to delete this background image. So this is not a vector file. This is my vector file. I'm going to click on this one. I'm going to hit delete. I'm coming over here. Let's drag this down. And what I'm going to do is I am going to duplicate it. So I'm going to hold Control D to duplicate, and then I drag up, and we just created a duplicate copy. Now what I'm going to do is we need to delete the fill on one of these, and I'll go with the bottom one. So this will be the fill, and this will be the outline. I'm going to use the magnifying glass, and we're going to come in here a little bit, and I will use the selection tool. I don't see a lasso tool for this function, which is going to make it a little bit slower, but I can make it work. So what I do is with the selection tool, I'm going to double click, and it's going to bring up these points, and we just start deleting everything on the interior. Keep in mind that this is a hole, so I can't delete these ones. These ones stay, but the rest of the stuff around it goes. So here we go. And I don't want to hit the outside edge, so just be careful of this outside edge right here doesn't get selected. So just hit delete, and you got to be kind of careful because it's going to get a little crazy in a minute. Start working my way around. I'm control clicking right now. It should be. It's not doing it. So I'm unclicking. I'm not selecting anything. Control is actually not unselecting. I'm just doing a regular left click, no control on this. I'm just selecting these ones right here. I let that other one go. Holding spacebar, I'm moving up a little bit. Magnifying glass in. Spacebar, just left clicking. I'm trying to do large selections. I gotta watch out for this one. I can get the stuff around it, but not the surrounding edges. All this stuff goes. It's getting close to areas I have to preserve. Some of this stuff could possibly be cleaned up. I'm going to leave it for now. We'll keep moving along. I'm going to back up just a little bit. So we can get a lot of stuff at once. This is the only thing I have to really watch out for. And this one. Let's see if we can do this a little bit faster. That interior edge has to go. This one has to go. That one has to go. But this stuff can. Getting close. I have to be careful of the edge that I'm next to right now. That's careful. that does it. So we've got the drop shadow and we've got the base. So what I'm going to do at this point would be export it. Let's save it and export it. But that's done. It lets you export as a PNG. To save the SVG, you have to do the save as. It's bringing it out as SVG. Alright, so that should be good. So I'm going to be using a vinyl cutter to make the stickers, and I'm going to be using a Cricut Explore Air 2 to cut my stickers with. And to use that, I'm going to be working with the software called their Design Space. Circa's Design Space software, so you can download it here. This is Circa's website. I work with this stuff, and it's pretty solid. Here it is. This is the Design Space. It's open. Let's make a new project. So I've downloaded it, I've opened it. Here's the workspace. I click on this little new tab. I'm going to go to upload, and then I am going to upload an image, browse. And I saved it out as drawing 1. And there you have it. So we have the drop shadow and we have the fill. So I'm going to go upload. We see that it shows up. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my project. So this is the workspace, and I'm going to upload a model. So what I can do is I can go to this upload button. I come over to upload image. I go to browse, and I'm going to click on the image that we just created, the SVG file, that drawing 1. You see it's here, and I'm going to click on upload. Here it is. It's uploaded. So now what I can do is I can click on it, and then I'm going to come across here, and I'm going to go down to add to canvas. It's on the canvas. Now what I can do is in this bottom corner we have the little zoom in, zoom out button, and I have to click it because it was off screen. You can see this is 48 inches. The Explorer Air 2, the printer that I'm working with, is only 12 inches, which means this whole thing's got to be shrunk down. So we come over here, we can see I can get them both by clicking on the top node, and I'm just going to grab this little scale handle here so that I'm scaling them together as one. And this is pretty much right here. I'd say 11.5 is my maximum printing size. Let's get back in so we can get in closer. And this would be about safe right here. So this is what I've got to print right now. We can start with doing the fill first. So I'm going to turn off the outline. This looks good. And at this point we can print it. So I can actually say make it. You can see how it's fitting on the canvas here. Just not want to. It's outside the bleed edge. It's just a little too big, so we have to go back. So it's good that you're seeing it. This has to be scaled. It won't fit in the space. We're going to have to go cancel. Come back here. It's at 11.5. This is the sweet spot. It's just a little bit over. So I'm going to bring it in just a little bit like that. And what I should be doing is I'm universally scaling them. The other one was scaling with it because I had it selected here. What I don't want to do is have this one selected and scale it by itself. So this one should print. Let's try it. So let's try again. There, that looks much better. So I have to turn this one off. I have to connect my printer at this point. So I have to turn the printer on and connect it with the USB cable. So I'm using the measurements from inside the design space, and I've translated it. This is the printing sheet. I've cut up the vinyl, and it measures to the same dimensions as I have it in their design space layout. So it's stuck on there with just like a little bit of adhesive. But I'm going to put this in the printer, and we're going to have a sticker in a minute. So I've got the printer set up to make the sticker. All I have to do is push the button. Alright, so it's done. Let's take a look. You can see the cuts. I'm going to weed this stuff out and we'll have a sticker. I'm going to make the drop shadow now. I finished printing the fill. Let's make the outline. So I click on done. Coming back over here, let's turn off the fill and let's turn the outline on. Select the outline and drag it up like this. Now keep in mind I want a drop shadow, and this is really just going to be an outline around this. It's not going to actually create a real drop shadow. So to create the drop shadow, what I'm going to do is I've got it selected. I'm going to come over to duplicate. I just made a copy of it. And this is going to be the drop shadow, so I'm going to have it offset on this. I want it like that. So I can still have like the hole sort of visible on the E. That should line up good. But you can kind of organize how you want the drop shadow to go underneath it any way you want. It can come off and be long dramatic or whatever. But for me, I want it like this. Should be about right. Okay, so with this done, I'm going to hold shift. I'm going to click on the one at the top. They're both selected right now. The two of them are selected at once. And I'm going to go to weld right here at the bottom. This just became one. I move it up into the top corner. I'm looking at the space, so I'm going to need the vinyl to go to about maybe a little over 4.5 inches just to be safe on that printing mat. So I'm going to get that set up. Let's make it. I'm coming over here. I click make it. It's on the mat. It looks like it's too big. It'll never fit. So I'm going to go cancel. Let's come back over here. It is. It's going past 11.5. So I'm going to go Control Z. That is. This has to stay under 11.5. I'm not going to scale it because it's going to make an issue with the other one. I can put it like this. The thing is, this one's going to be shifted. That's good. That'll do it. I'll do shift, take the two of them. It just has to be under 11.5. Let's see, it might be really close. Weld. It fits. So we can see when it's upright, it's going to fit. So at this point, I can go continue. And I'm going to set up the printing mat with the vinyl on it right now. We're about to print. So I've got the black vinyl set up on the printing mat, and I'm going to get it to go right now. So here the finished vinyl sticker sheets are. I'm going to weed them. So let's see if we can get these going here. This one's not really complicated, so I can go a little bit faster, but you should be careful if you've got detail. A little bit of waste on the edge there, it's too bad.
I'm gonna go a little slower. There's a lot more going on with this one. Go a little faster in the outline. That's going all on top of itself. That's done. All right, now we begin weeding. I'm getting rid of the border edge. Gotta be a little careful as I go. Try not to let it fall back on top of itself. I'm sort of tearing it so that it doesn't go too long. Gotta be careful in here. This one's coming out pretty good. I missed some of the teeth, so I'm gonna have to put those back in a sec. That tooth made it. Pretty close. And that's pretty close. I'm gonna put the teeth back on. All right, so I've got the teeth back on. These came off when I was playing, so I just been a little more careful. Now what I'm gonna do is let's transfer this to the fill to the outline. So I've got the transfer paper. Let's cut it up. So it's important that I get this nice and flat when I... All right, so I just want to make sure that this is down real good. I'm taking something like a penny, a quarter. I'm using the edge of the back end of the X-Acto knife, and I'm just pressing down on any detail with this contact paper. I want to make sure that it has real good stick on anywhere which has like this little tooth. Any areas that are small have a tendency not to pick up when I try to do the transfer. So hopefully we're going to get everything. And you can just use your fingernails, one of the best ways to rub back and forth. All right, so with this being done, we're going to try to do the transfer. So let's do it. Here we go. Looking pretty good. Picking up everything, which is great. So taking a little bit of time and pushing down on it makes a difference. So I'm about to put this down on top of the drop, and what's going to be important here is that I've got this taped down. I don't know if you've got this taped down in the corners, static electricity is going through this, and this will actually jump up onto the other sheet with the transfer paper. So you need to have it taped down. You don't want to ruin your work. So let's give it a try and see what we can do. So I'm just lining it up. I'm going to kind of start from one end. Kind of pulling it across, gently putting it down. That's a pretty good drop. I'll pick up the transfer paper, give it a little, again, like a little push down on any of the detail areas. I want to make sure they're going to stick, but the odds are the glue on the vinyl is going to be stronger than the transfer paper, so it's probably done. I feel like this is good. Let's take a look. Kind of holding it from one end. That doesn't look too bad. Sticker is done. So we're going to augment it next.